All right.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
You
I'm out here on
having-
the West Coast. I'm out here on the West Coast, so there's like no humidity out here. It's like everything's so dry.
Where are you at?
In Fresno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like the last time I went out to Salt Lake City not too long ago for a job out there, and I had like 9 nosebleeds while I was there.
Because you dried the hell out?
Yeah, they had like a low humidity warning in effect. I was like, what the fuck is a low humidity
Yeah.
warning?
You're from Georgia, so you're like, that's a thing.
Yeah, I was like, what? And then so like the whole time I'm there, I have like 9 nosebleeds. But
Jesus.
the trip
You're like peeling like a lizard.
yeah, like the trip before I was like in Fresno like a year ago or whatever it was. And so I was gonna go get on the plane and like I had, you know how like if you've ever been in like a low humidity area, like you like your nose gets all this shit in it or whatever. It's kind of hard to explain.
I don't know if I've ever been in a low humidity area.
Yeah, it's just dry in there.
Yeah.
So like
You get like those big cornflake boogers.
yeah. And then so like I was in there and I was like, my nose was stopped up and I just felt like shit because like my sinuses are just like taking a pounding at this point. And I go to get on the plane. I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm going home. Like there'll be humidity home. It like immediately within like the day, I'm fine. Like everything goes back to normal. And then so I go to get on the plane, and like all of a sudden, I just feel it running down my lip. My nose is just like bleeding everywhere, and I have this stupid fucking mask on. And I'm like,
Yeah, did you have one of those like blue masks?
yeah.
And you're like bleeding into it.
Well, like when it happened, I just like threw my head back and was just like letting it drain. I was like, I cannot get on this plane with like this like blood soaked mask. They're gonna be like this dude is fucking patient zero.
Yeah.
Like everybody is gonna freak the fuck out.
Fucking like 28 days later. Yeah. He just like ran down the terminal like, don't get the vaccine.
They're like, oh, it must be the Z variant.
Oh man. I can't remember the last time I had a nosebleed, but it's interesting that you're talking about it being low humidity because I just got back from Panama City, and it was the exact opposite.
Oh yeah,
You talk about humid, hot and humid. However, the worst humidity we ever felt was fucking New Orleans.
Oh yeah, it's so oppressive there
in the middle of August.
It's unless you've been there, it's hard to explain.
Yeah,
the amount of humidity.
I don't know how you can fucking live there. I mean, like me and Mary like to go, but we like to go in like between like November and January.
Yeah,
like that's hurricane season, but at least the weather is bearable. But like the best way to explain it is like imagine you took a shower and then just immediately put your clothes on, like you didn't towel off.
Oh yeah, disgusting.
Yeah,
it's completely disgusting.
Yeah, the air is just made out of moisture and mosquitoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking awful.
Yeah, that place, man. It's a cool place, but I certainly couldn't live there.
Oh yeah,
not for me.
I like to go on what you call eatcation, mealcation.
Oh yeah,
just go down there and eat. That's what we did. I mean, me and Mary went this last time. We spent more money on food than we did traveling in the hotel.
Yeah, they have some delicious food down there. Cajun food is amazing.
Oh yeah, Cajun food's my absolute most favorite. Like style of food.
Was like, isn't it like Cajun food came from just like the original French settlers in Canada?
I know that
like that style of cooking.
I would imagine so because I know a lot of the culture down there is has its roots in like French culture, like French settlers.
Yeah, because it was like the British came in, they're like, yeah, you got to get the fuck out of here, and they kicked him out. They're like we don't. It's like we don't care where you go, you just can't stay here. You gotta get the fuck up out of here. And then they just all moved down to Louisiana. And I mean, I guess the style of cooking that they were doing up there, they were just kind of brought it down to Louisiana and like incorporated additional items. It's like the type of cooking, I'm sure.
Yeah, crawfish and alligator.
Yeah.
All good stuff.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, like what we know. It's like a mesh of like those two areas, which kind of creates some amazing food.
That's kind of what America is from coast to coast. It's just a mesh of everything. It's like on the way back home today, I had pointed out to Mary, I was like, every town in America is named after something else somewhere else. Like just like even the ones here in Georgia, you got Rome, Athens, there's Madrid, Florida.
There's like Paris, Tennessee.
Oh yeah. But there's fucking Canton, Georgia, and Canton is a province in China.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, how did they decide on that name?
Well, it's like New York. Like it's the New York. Like that was essentially the whole thing, right?
I guess so. And Orleans must be somewhere in France. The original, the OG.
I would assume. I don't know why you would not just say Orleans or just call it York.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, we purchased
it's not like they're like, I know it's somewhere else, but this is the new one.
This is the new one, new and improved. They just like took it a step further and like the better Orleans.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't do that. Yeah, fucking air horns. You drill, we rule. that America mentality has been around forever. Well, we bought Louisiana from the French, didn't we? The whole Louisiana Purchase we bought from Napoleon, right?
Yeah, from Napoleon, right?
Yeah, and that was a fuckload of land. I mean, it was like from Louisiana and like stretched like way up north.
Yeah, like
all the way up to the Canadian
Dakotas.
border.
It was pretty much like the entire Midwest, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was like the Louisiana Purchase.
It was a lot. For what I remember, we got it for fucking peanuts.
Yeah.
Like
there was something to that. Like he was like pissed about something.
I think Napoleon, that was kind of his thing, wasn't he? He was just kind of pissed about everything.
Yeah, but like he'd been slighted for something, or that could be total bullshit. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a historian, but there was a reason why. I thought that there was a reason why he sold it for kind of that cheap.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what it is, but
I think that
somebody else could probably.
I think once we got that big chunk of land, that kind of started. That was like the birth of like Manifest Destiny. It was like, okay, we got all this land. Let's just keep getting more land.
Yeah.
And then we tried to purchase Texas from Mexico, and they wouldn't sell it. So
we just took it.
And so much of Texas just like goes down into Mexico.
Oh yeah,
it's like we're taking all this too.
Yeah. The people back in the day were just like fucking savages. Like they didn't care.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're like, look, we're not around for a long time, so we got shit to do.
Well, yeah, back then, I mean, they lived to be like what, 25. And at that point, you're like
it was like, wasn't it like into your late 40s was like essentially like people that were like in their 60s.
I guess
like way back. I mean, I don't know. I didn't live then, but I would assume
it was rough back then. Just buying up land and killing natives. Well, let's bring in the podcast.
All right. You bring it in this time.
Hello and welcome, everybody, to the Thicc Bois podcast. My name is Gary. This is Wesley. Wesley, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was looking at something about the Louisiana Purchase.
Oh, okay. This is episode, what, 13?
Yeah, this is episode 13, actually.
Yeah, 13. And I kind of had this thought today.
Lucky episode 13.
Yeah, lucky episode 13. I had this thought today. We're in September. At the time of recording this. We'll be coming up on 1 year of the podcast soon.
We are. That's going to be what, November? Or
November.
December? Yeah, November. Be 1 year.
Yeah, so November will be our 1 year anniversary of the Thicc Bois podcast. And we averaged about one episode a month.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take our progress and go move forward into the
Yeah.
new year. Would you say for our podcast? We'll try to do better.
Yeah, we'll pump out some more episodes. Me and Wesley were talking about um maybe doing some on location podcasts. One we had discussed was Rockville.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be cool. As long as we didn't
Yeah,
get in trouble.
yeah, that it'd be one. We might do like a thing if somebody's gonna get pissed about it or whatever. We can always do something from like the hotel, maybe like a
Yeah.
recap, just kind of talk about it. Do
Yeah.
like a 3-day event. We'll come in, talk about it, and go back in the next day.
I think it would have been cool. It would have been cool to do this year's because this year had a really cool lineup.
Oh yeah, I saw the
Um
lineup for this year, and I thought it was amazing.
yeah, I think Metallica is going to be there 2 nights. Guar's going to be there.
Oh really?
Yeah, they are. Or that Mary read them off. Mary read off the set list to me, and she was like, she's reading all the bands, and she was like, G War, and
G-War.
I was
You're
like, Guar,
Guar.
Guar's gonna be there. I guess they got a new front man.
Really?
Yeah, because Odorous Uncrus, he passed away back in 2014. Dave Brocky. Their
Oh yeah, I remember
singer.
you saying that. Let's see.
So yeah,
Who's headline? I've just pulled it up. Headlining Thursday is Slipknot.
that would be cool. I would love to go to a Slipknot show.
Yes, that would be amazing. And then Friday is Metallica, Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie too. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Chevelle's going to be doing that one. That'd be nice to go see.
Yeah.
Saturday's Disturbed. They like as now that I'm older, like I kind of look at Disturbed and it kind of makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It's just like, could you imagine being like the guy, like he didn't say anything. Like you remember what Chris was saying? Like they didn't say anything. And he just goes in there and starts like saying all
He's
that
screaming
shit.
about his mom.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, where did this come from? I didn't know you were hanging on to this.
Offspring will be there. That'd be good. Stained, Lamb of God, and then Metallica, Leonard Skinner, Mudvayne Sunday to close it out. Mastodon will be there.
There's a lot of big names.
Yeah, I do like that too because you can like I don't really keep up with rock bands as much as I used to. So it's nice to go in to these concerts and see some of these other ones that I've never heard of because you might find something that you like.
Yeah, like the time me and you went, there was one band that was there that I'd never heard of that I started listening to after we went, Miss May I.
Yeah, they're great. I love them.
Yeah, they were really good. It was kind of funny they had them set up in front of that Ferris wheel.
Oh yeah.
They were like playing like all this like angry music, and then it's just like this happy Ferris wheel like just across from them, like a bunch of little kids going up it.
Oh god, I remember the thing about that day too was that like when we showed up, there was that girl that was there, and she was wearing like essentially it was like just a G-string with like some fucking fishnet stockings and shit.
Mm.
And I remember it was so hot, and I was
God,
like,
it was so hot.
I was like, man, that is not going to be good towards the end of the day.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little swampy.
Yeah, like man, girl, your cheeks are gonna be so sweaty. Like you hope you brought some Desitin.
You're gonna take them panties off. It's gonna look like garlic bread.
It's gonna be bad. I don't think that was the correct attire for here.
Well, I wore that fucking tank top the whole time and got sunburnt all the way down to my bones.
I know I did too.
God, that was awful. Because we did that, and then the next day, me and Aaron had to leave from Jacksonville like 4 a.m. because I had to be back in Atlanta by a certain time for stand-up comedy practice.
Yeah.
And I got there, and I was sitting next to the instructor, and I had just sat down from practicing my set. And he went to slap me on the shoulder and tell me I did a good job. And he popped me on the shoulder, and I was just like, ah! And he was like, oh man, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, I've got sunburn. And he's like, man, that's the only time I've ever like touched one of my students. And I was like, oh no, he's weird about it.
Oh god. You should
yeah.
have. It'd been funny if you just played it off and you just like without telling him, and you just probably freaked out.
Yeah. I just didn't address it. That being said,
Oh, God.
I want to make a shout out to Joel Byers. He was the comedy instructor. I'm pretty sure he still does stand up comedy classes in Atlanta. If you're interested in doing that, it was a lot of fun. He's also a really funny comedian. And that's JoelByars. He also has a podcast called the Hot Breath Podcast, so you can check him out there too. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So much of that is writing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just listening to like some podcasts or like comedians and stuff like that, they talk about how like it's a lot of it is just like getting it down like on paper and stuff. That's how a lot of them do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was, so it was 12 weeks. The class was 12 weeks, and then we had like we had to do a 5-minute set for our graduation thing. And like, I was trying to put together my set, and like, kind of nothing really was coming to me. Like, I couldn't just sit there and make it come out.
Yeah.
It's like when you get a reputation for being funny, and somebody's like, "Hey, be funny," and you're like, "What the fuck do you want me to do?"
No, it's like I'm being myself. What do you like?
Yeah. So it was like, I just kind of started writing down thoughts that came in my head during the day. I had like this notepad with me, and for like 3 or 4 weeks, I ended up with like enough material for like 30 minutes, and I had to trim it down.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What's kind of the process of that? Like, is it like writing something down that you think it's funny and then you like build upon it, or
a lot of what ended up being in my set was like observational comedy and like a little bit of self-deprecation. Because I think that you could go too far with self-deprecation where everybody just kind of gets like, like, but if I think that is relatable. I think a lot of people can relate to self-deprecation.
Oh yeah, I mean it's stuff that you say to yourself, but you don't say out loud.
So. Right, exactly. So there was a little bit of that, and there's rules of comedy too, like the rule of 3. Like if you're trying to make you're trying to make a joke and you're trying to like give examples, 3 is a good number to hit because it feels natural, and like the punchline usually lands on the 3rd example, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then of course, there's a callback. So it's like anytime you've ever watched like a professional comedian or like a like a special on Netflix or something, you can, they might make a joke that lands really hard like in the first 10 minutes, and at the end of the set they'll wrap up with that same joke. They'll call back to it.
Yeah.
So I kind of tried to work that in there.
Isn't that interesting how like your brain, like how it makes a connection like that?
Yeah.
Like somebody's been able to kind of observe that and be like, oh yeah, that does work. But it's like,
like that,
but nobody really understands like the mechanics of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
You just know that it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, humor is subjective too. Like, what makes some people laugh won't make everyone laugh, but it's like there's like a broad spectrum of things that kind of applies, overall.
It's well, everybody kind of like understands what the concept of humor is because everybody has humor, right? Like even some of the least humorous people you'll ever meet, like there's at some point there's been something that has made them laugh,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you have some type of like mental disorder or something,
like you've been lobotomized or something.
Yeah. Or unless you're like the Joker, which is like you're like manically laughing all the
time. Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of points you can hit, like of course, self-deprecation, observational humor, things where people are like, oh yeah, I have noticed that before.
Is that something that is it just that you feel more comfortable with it, or like you just understand that that's like your kind of humor, or is it like you try to reach out and maybe do some other stuff that you're less comfortable with? Like I know like some people are like storytellers, right? And then some people can do like rants really well.
Yeah.
Like you look at like Bill Burr, he rants. That's mostly like what his stand-up is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Lewis Black. He's
Yeah,
also
Lewis
he's a good
Black's like
ranter.
that too. Yeah.
For me, I think, because I only ever did one stand-up show, and I think it's going to stay that way because I get terrible stage fright, and I was
Yeah.
a huge diva about the whole thing. I mean, my show went well.
Oh yeah, I thought your set
it-
was really good.
I had there was actually a guy there who was a talent scout, and he approached me and asked me if I would be interested in doing some open mic stuff at his club. And I just kind of told him like, yeah, man. But in the back of my head, I was like, I'm never doing this shit again.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because there's so much work just for 5 minutes. And like, I was very lucky that it was well received, but also, it was a graduation show. So I think everybody in attendance kind of knew not to
Yeah.
expect any like blockbuster comedy.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, everybody's there for, they're in a certain mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's like, if, you obviously wouldn't be like, hey, we're like doing a show. And then all of a sudden you go to like a theater and they're like, all right, let it rip.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was, one of the biggest challenges as far as like the writing goes was like segues, how to make it seem natural.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have comedians like Mitch Hedberg, whose comedy is kind of just like stream of consciousness. Like they're just like, he's just saying what comes out, and there's really no real segues into anything.
Yeah, I think he's like one of those people too. It's like I think that's just who he is.
Yeah,
like it just happens to be that he's able to phrase it in a way that's funny.
Yeah, it's his delivery. He just has like that deadpan delivery, and it's like it's when he's doing his comedy, it's really kind of like you're just like listening to his thoughts.
Oh yeah, and it's so funny too because it's like his comedy too is like he could go for like spells where he's just like clean the whole time, like stuff that you could like show like a grandmother and she would think would be funny, and then all of a sudden he'll just turn it. No, I love Mitch Hedberg. He's amazing.
Yeah, me too.
One of my favorites is Tom Segura.
Yeah. Is he the one? No, I'm thinking Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer was the one that had the big the machine bit.
Oh yeah, the machine.
He's the one that performs with his shirt off all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tom Segura is good.
Yeah, Tom Segura, he does like a lot of stories and stuff. That's kind of his deal.
Yeah, I think that probably one of my strong suits is telling stories, because when you reflect back on a story, you can kind of embellish a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like that thing where you're like, if somebody says something to you and you're like, on the way home, you're like, I should have said this. But it's like when you retell a story, you can kind of work something like that in there.
Yeah.
Well, retelling a story on stage, you can do that.
So you kind of like use a story to like help guide you, like sort of like as your framework for how you're going to build around your set.
Yeah. It's Louis C.K. He kind of breaks a lot of the rules when it comes to comedy. He had one stand-up special I was watching, and he was going to tell a story, and he was trying to like set up like the, here's where I was, here's what I was doing. And then he was kind of stumbling over his words, and he just says, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm lying. And he ended up telling the story anyway.
Yeah.
But it was still fucking funny.
Yeah.
But it's like he admitted that this is a complete fabrication.
Yeah.
And then told it anyway.
Well, I think it's the thing is too is that he's able to be like, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is a fucking lie. Yeah. But I'm going to tell it anyway.
Like I don't know many other comedians that could have got away with that.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's just the way that he's able to like deliver.
Yeah. Delivery is a lot of it.
Well, and like he's one of those people too that he's just up there trying to say the most insane shit. Like, you know what I mean? So
he's constantly seeing how far he can push.
Yeah. It. Oh yeah. Like all the time. Like he's not somebody that is gonna like, kind of tiptoe around anything. He's just gonna
Yeah.
like dive right into it. He'll the reason why I like him is he'll kind of like feed you a little bit, and then all of a sudden like he'll turn it real dark, like real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. He also likes to drop little like things like here and there and just kind of gauge the audience.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that he does that because he also called himself out on that in one of his specials.
Oh, really?
His big thing is dropping the N-word real casually
Mm-hmm.
and like seeing how the audience reacts. And then like he'll just kind of weave it into like the rest of his set.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing, I wish I could remember what special it was. It might have been on his show on FX. But he dropped the N-word and the audience kind of like gasped a little bit, but then they laughed.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, now that I know that you're cool, he's I don't know. Each of those comedians just kind of have their own special way to, it's like their own little flavor.
Yeah. Yeah. I just always think it's interesting to hear like the way that people talk about like comedy and how it's set up and how they like, they'll write like a bit or something like that.
Yeah.
Because my brain certainly doesn't, I don't think it works that way.
Well, a lot of times too, it's like, you kind of like when I was writing for that set, I kind of had myself in this mindset was like, do I need to look for things that are funny? Because if I'm looking for stuff that's funny, I probably won't find anything.
Yeah.
But it was like, but I need to kind of be more aware of when something is funny. And then as soon as like I laugh at something, try to break down, why did I laugh at that? What about that was funny to me?
Yeah.
And usually you can find like little building blocks, like, okay, it was funny because of this is build up, or, it was funny because it was so ridiculous or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like it's like a mindset that you have to have. Because I think like with a lot of people is they don't like, they'll hear something that's funny, but then they just kind of just accept the fact that it's funny. Like, you know what I mean? Rather than like trying to like capture that and be like, what is that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you laugh at something, it's a reaction.
Yeah.
You don't first say that was funny and then you laugh.
Yeah. It's like just something that comes forth. It's just, it's spontaneous, right? Like that's what makes it like, it's hard to like replicate.
Yeah. And it's also, the things that sound funny in your head, you can say it exactly the way it sounds in your head. As soon as it comes out of your mouth, it's like super not funny.
Yeah, like fuck.
Yeah. Or it's like when you try to recount something to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like you're telling them, and it was like the most fucking hilarious thing that has ever happened to you. And when you recount it to somebody, they're just kind of looking at you with this blank face. And it's like, I guess you had to be there.
It's like, yeah, you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
God, I was so fucking afraid that I was gonna bomb. I was like, man, if I get up there and I start bombing, I'm just not gonna say anything to anybody. I'm just gonna put the mic back in the stand and just walk straight off the stage.
I think like the best thing, like I think the best way to like probably handle that would just be if you could just get up there and be like, yo, fuck all these people. Like if I bomb, it is what it is, and just play into it. Like
it's like you're all enjoying yourselves. I got you for another 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
They'd be like, oh my God, this dude's insane.
He's a psychopath. He's torturing us with this terrible comedy.
It's like that would be the thing though. If you could do that, like there would be somebody in that crowd, they would think that would be hilarious. They'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's
like he just gets up here and tells fucking knock jokes.
You just tell that he's enjoying himself. He's doing it all for him.
Yeah.
This is for me. I'm sorry y'all aren't having fun. I'm having a great time. He
doesn't give a fuck about you.
It's like, did you ever see Bill Burr's famous Philadelphia rant?
Philadelphia rant, yeah.
Where he just laid into there for like 30
more minutes.
He just laid into that whole city for like 30 minutes straight.
Yeah. And then like by the end of it, they were like, they like loved him.
Yeah. They thought it was the best shit in the world. Yeah. It's so funny when you go and you watch that, you can like see the moment where he snaps.
Yeah.
It makes like that cartoon sound effect where like the violin string snaps. That's exactly what happened to him. And he just starts laying into that whole city. And he was saying the worst shit to them. Like, I hope you all get AIDS and fuck each other to death. And they loved it. They went from booing him to like a standing ovation.
Yeah, by the time he left the stage.
Yeah.
Oh god. And it's probably like the funny thing is that he probably started that and then it started to turn and he's like, I got him now.
Yeah, he's like, okay, now I can work it.
Yeah, now I can work it.
Yeah. It was like,
and he's like, what's just the craziest shit I can say to these people?
He was going after everything, like their food, their culture, their architecture, everything.
It's like their women, like the guys.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter. It was like men, women, and children. Like he didn't spare anybody.
I can't wait to see him in October.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that.
I'm pretty sure he's at the Fox. I have to double check, but that's where me and Aaron went to go see him back in 2016 or 15.
Yeah.
I can't remember when that was. But I do remember that as soon as we got there, somebody tried to sell us drugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like I didn't even have both feet out of my car.
Yeah.
It's just like he walked up with like a trench coat, opened it up, and he had like a bunch of crack pipes hanging off.
He like crack pipes. He had like a mangina. He's like not wearing anything. Like, ah, fuck. You're like, dude, seriously, what are you doing?
Like the sun's not even gone down yet.
There's like people walking by like it's a normal day. It's like what's that movie? There's like Clerks 2 or whatever, where it's like Jay and Silent Bob, and he's like dancing around, and all of a sudden he like opens his trench coat and he's got the fucking mangina.
He's got the Texas tuck.
Yeah. Oh god. Makes me think of, was it we were talking about the Spider-Man cartoon we wanted to come up with where he like shoots webs out of his nipples. And then he
said it was all because of a prompt I had texted to Chris. I was like, Spider-Man, but instead of shooting webs from his wrists, he shoots them out of his nipples and he can't control it.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, he screams in agony the entire time.
We changed it. We're like, he like moans in pleasure. So like as he's like swinging through the city, he's like moaning.
Yeah, you just hear him. He's like, You're like trying to rob an ATM and you can hear him coming. Like, oh god. Oh no, he's almost here.
He just has like these little like flaps over his nipples.
Just leaving his DNA all over town.
Oh god, that'd be so funny.
It's like, why are Spider-Man's webs so gooey?
Oh god, that'd be so funny. There's no way you could ever put that on YouTube.
No, that'd have to go on like Newgrounds.
Oh god. Oh yeah, I was gonna say we were gonna talk about, well, last weekend we had tried to get together, but we weren't able to do it. But we were gonna talk about the non-aggression principle. What we thought of that.
Oh yeah. Forgot all about that. Why don't you kick us off with that?
Yeah, so I'll actually go and read exactly what it is. It says the non-aggression principle, the NAP, also called the non-aggression axiom, is a concept in which aggression defines as initiating or threatening any forceful interference with either an individual or their property is inherently wrong. It is considered by some to be the defining principle of libertarianism. I wouldn't say that's, I mean, I guess it could be the defining principle, but I think it's kind of odd that they kind of stuck it on the party.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing to do. And it's also a prominent idea in anarcho-capitalism and minarchism. I don't know what that is. I honestly don't care. In contrast to pacifism, the NAP does not forbid forceful defense. There is no single or universal interpretation or definition of the NAP, as it faces several definitional issues, including those revolving around intellectual property, force, abortion, and other topics.
So it's basically, using aggression or force or violence
is inherently wrong unless it's in the act of self-defense.
Right. Yeah, I think that, I think I agree with that. Well, I mean, it's like me and you had talked about it on Facebook. Yeah. It was like, at what point do you feel, compelled to intervene? Like if you see a guy like beating the shit out of his wife.
Well, the thing is like, I mean, but I think that the important thing is to have the conversation about what it is and whether or not it is that you agree or disagree with the non-aggression principle, because I think you can find out a lot about somebody depending upon whether they're even able to have the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I would say that because personally, I believe that sometimes indifference is worse than evil. So
yes,
if you see, an innocent person being attacked, I think that if you are capable of stopping it, you have a duty to.
Yes.
If
you could also probably put in there, it does not forbid forceful defense, but I'm assuming that you could probably say in defense of others. Well, but in defense of others, it gets tricky there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you have to be very specific about what you mean in defense of others. If you are defending others from forceful aggression towards them in a physical way,
yeah,
right, then we're more apt to say yes, right? Like we agree with that.
Right. Yeah. But you also don't have all the information. It's like, say I'm walking down the street and I see a guy and he's beating the shit out of another guy. When I come up upon that, that's all I see. It could be that the dude who's getting the brakes beat off of him, he just raped that kid's, or that raped that guy's kid.
Yeah.
And the dude caught him and now he's beating the shit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, but even in that instance, within that instance, it's like, is it inherently wrong for him to beat the shit out of that guy for raping his kid?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it gets tricky, right? But at the same time, I think it's important to understand where your stance is on that, and then also be able to, other than just say that's my stance and I'm not going to think about it, that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
But to be able to be like, why is that my stance, right? Yeah. And then to be able to break that down and be able to observe other topics around the situation, right? It's sort of like that whole thing, like in Texas with the abortion law, like after 6 weeks, like, did you hear about that?
I heard that they had passed something about abortion. I didn't really look too much into it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if it's said illegal or not. I didn't really follow it that much. I just noticed it was kind of a big deal.
Was like you could be persecuted if you got one? Is that what the thing was?
I think they made it illegal. Like you can't get one in the state of Texas after 6 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think that like abortion clinics are like allowed to operate under the pretense that they will give you an abortion after 6 weeks or something like that.
Right.
Essentially, I guess the reasoning behind it was that I think it was like after 6 weeks, like a heartbeat starts or something like that.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, even abortion's another one of those things where it's like you can't really take a black and white stance on it.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like if somebody, there's always the extreme situation of, somebody is raped and they become pregnant. Me personally, I feel like they should be allowed to have an abortion.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they should be forced to carry that child to term.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then
isn't it strange that it's like you're okay with like if you saw like a dude beating the shit out of another dude that you would like hit that dude or like try to knock that dude out to stop that from happening, but it's like, but then you like turn around, you're like, but there's like a girl that if you believe that after 6 weeks, like that's somebody, like, but you know what I mean? Isn't that strange?
How do you mean? Because they're not performing an abortion by beating the shit out of her.
Well, no. It's like, but like the same amount of violent force that you're willing to exert upon somebody else changes based upon that one thing, even though the ramifications, if you believe in after 6 week term abortion, that's killing somebody, wouldn't you be more likely to violence towards that person depending
I
upon the
see.
situation?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if a guy is beating someone up and trying to kill them,
Yeah.
and I would exert force in order to stop that.
Yes. And
But
I'm just trying to like, I'm trying to look at the
yeah, I know what
situation
you're
from a
saying.
different light. You know what I mean?
You're not, there's no, it's not comparable 100%. It's not 100% comparable. A woman
Yes.
getting an abortion and a guy trying to kill someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's not the exact same thing, but the outcome would be the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's,
If you believe that after 6 weeks that is somebody, that's a person. That's
yeah.
not, that's not just like this thing that doesn't exist yet.
Right. Well, it's kind of like I had said before. I think when we initially tried to record episode 11, we kind of touched on abortion a little bit, and it was like my overall stance was that it is, I believe it's the choice, it's the mother's choice to make, but I'm allowed to feel whether or not it was the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But
And I'm not trying to, and I'm also not trying to advocate for violence towards people wanting to get abortions. That's not,
yeah, no.
yeah, that's not what I'm saying. So please don't take it that way. But what I'm saying, I'm like trying to get people to like, try to like observe it in another light. Be like,
well, it's like you have to,
but you do understand that like the outcome, the ending is the same.
yeah, someone
right?
dies.
Someone dies.
Yeah, there's no reality in which an abortion can take place and a person doesn't die.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that they should be illegal. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
I'm just like, I think when you're talking about things like that, it's helpful to just be truthful about like what's going on here. Like we do understand, that this is happening. Like I just think it's odd how like societal norms, like if you just broke it down to like, well, what's the end thing that happens here?
Right.
What happens at the end of this?
Well, the argument can always be made, it's it's just a clump of cells. It's not a person that's dying. It's a clump of cells that's dying.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well then,
no, and I'm not strictly talking based just upon abortion. I'm trying to I'm trying to make a comparison between the two separate things that have happened.
But the point that I'm saying is, you can take a stance on something, but the more you keep adding variables into it, you'll find that your stance isn't applicable to 100% of the situations.
Right.
There's always going to be some instance where there's a variable there that will make you change your mind or feel differently.
Yes.
It's like, we had discussed, at what point is, force acceptable. And we were talking about, if you are capable of stopping something bad and you don't, then that's worse. That's just as bad, if not worse, as doing the bad thing yourself. But it was like you had mentioned trying to convey somebody to your sense of morality.
Yes.
And it's if you're using force or violence in order to sway somebody to your sense of morality or an ideal, that is by definition terrorism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think everybody can agree that terrorism is bad.
Yeah. When you also have to take into account when you talk about terrorism too, you have to, when you're talking about, using force to justify placing your morality on other people, you also have to take into consideration, what's going on when you talk about like nation building. Like that's what that is.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
I understand from a protect people from, people that want to do them harm, but at the end of the day, are you doing more harm to that society than, than what would have been done had you not done that.
Yeah.
So it's, now you have, like, if say like in Afghanistan, it's like you have all these people that, have, come to this way of life that, they think exists. And then it's like the nation building failed. So like you've also caused an issue for these people. It's rather than, like way back in the day when somebody fought a war, it wasn't to nation build. It was for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
It just seems like nowadays a lot of like these conflicts or whatever, it kind of gets broken down. It gets really super messy and nobody really understands like what's the purpose, what's going on here.
Right. Well, the thing also with the what's going on in Afghanistan was, we've been there for 20 years, and close to 20 years. And we pulled out so rapidly that we created a power vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And something had to fill the place, and it just so happened to be the next most powerful thing, and that was the Taliban. So now you have think about these kids who were 4 and 5 years old when this whole conflict started. Okay, say a little girl, she's 5 years old. This whole conflict starts. 20 years later, she's kind of got small taste of what liberty is.
Yeah.
And then we leave, and now she has to go back under extreme Islamic rule.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to show her face. She's not going to be able to, go get an education. She's basically property to any man that wants her. So I don't know if we knew at the time that we were going to be creating that specific situation for a bunch of people when we went over there. I'm sure nobody was even thinking that, but here it is.
Yeah. It's like, now it's staring you in the face.
Yeah. And then while we were there, we were trying to prop the Afghanistan government up to be able to handle themselves. And they fell in like a week and a half.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it comes down to, it's like, you have to have the right leader. It says a lot about the person that was put into power there in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, like the dude essentially split. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like deuces.
Yeah.
Took off.
I mean, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of two minds about the entire thing. I would say that more than anything, I'm glad that, we aren't over there so that our troops aren't dying needlessly.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want more meat thrown in the grinder.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want any more American bodies thrown at this thing that, that is unwinnable.
Yeah.
Because the people that you're trying to help either don't want or can't be helped.
Exactly.
But
isn't it also strange that it's like we talk about, how Afghanistan has all these horrors against like these populations and stuff like that. We always hear about this kind of stuff, but like you hear about some of these stories coming out of like North Korea and like nothing gets said.
Yeah.
Like there's no talk of like, hey, like maybe somebody should go over there and make sure that's not really happening.
Yeah. And then the question is, well, why is that? We know that the horrible things are happening over there, but why aren't we there?
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that question is North Korea doesn't have anything that we want.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing is that, North Korea is also kind of attached to China, right? Like China is an ally with North Korea.
Well, I think they do 100% of their trade with China.
Yeah.
Now, 100% of North Korean trade, I'm pretty sure is just coal.
Oh yeah, probably.
That's like their only export. Yeah. But the only person that they're trading coal with is China. So I mean, if China lost North Korea, would that be a huge loss? Probably not. But
but at the same time, it's like if you go over there, is it going to be like just out of the principle thing, like, hey, you're not going to come over here and do whatever you want. We are the power in this region.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, if the United States and China went to war, that would be it. I think that would be World War III.
Uh,
If it was a conventional war,
yeah.
like fought like the way World War One and World War II was, with men on battlefields and artillery and all that shit.
It really depends on whether or not the U.S. could get the jump on them. Because if they got the jump on them, it's like you have all those bases over there near China
Yeah,
with all that firepower.
yeah.
Like
But
you
you also
have all
have,
these bases in Japan, you have bases in Thailand, and
yeah,
it's like then there's constantly aircraft carriers like patrolling that area over there.
yeah,
Like it would, as far as like air dominance and like naval dominance. Oh, definitely, absolutely. Like the
yeah,
U.S. would like murk them, but
yeah,
the thing is that do you know what China has? Like, right?
exactly.
That's a shared mutual destruction.
Hmm.
Essentially, is what's keeping that from happening right now.
Well,
Right?
you also have China's neighbors up north, Russia,
Exactly.
and we don't exactly have the best relationship with them.
No, we don't.
So if we go, start kicking up anthills in their backyard, they might have something to say about it.
Well, and I also think that's interesting too that everybody hates Russia so much. It's like, but then you turn around and hear a lot of these horror stories coming out of China about like these Uyghur Muslims and
Yeah,
the social ID shit that they got going on over there, where it's like you can only like get like a train ticket to like another city, like if you're like in good standing with the public
yeah, they
government,
got
all this
the
shit.
social credit. Yeah,
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 like that's insane.
yeah.
That's insane.
That's Orwellian.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just odd. And like the
Yeah.
thing, people always, and I don't like doing like the slippery slope thing either. Like I feel like that's a cop out, right? Like you go,
Hmm.
well, it's a slippery slope to whatever, and
Like you don't
90,
know that.
yeah, 99.9% of the time, like, yeah, that never happens.
Hmm.
It's like, but it's like once you start giving away, and this is the libertarian coming out in me, is once you start giving away more and more and more and more of your freedoms, you start getting more comfortable with not having independence and own thoughts and ideas and creations. That
Right.
that's when the trouble starts, right? That's when you go, I don't have the ability to do these things that I want to do because there's violence at the end of this
Yeah.
if I continue down this path.
That's yeah. I mean, that's we've seen that play out several times. There's many examples of that. Um, but they're at this point now where it's so far gone that there's nothing that the people can do to get it back.
Oh yeah, no, there's no way. There's no way the people of China. Well, it's like you see those protests and stuff that are going over down there in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not. They're like people. They're taking people off. Like those people, you're
Yeah.
never gonna see those people again.
It's like even when you see like the numbers, like the sheer numbers of people who are coming out protesting in the street, you would look at that and say, well, surely that's got to mean something, and it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah, you could come out with twice as many people, and they've got such a thumb on the people themselves that there's nothing they could ever do.
Well, and I also
That situation over there is going to have to get bloody before it gets better.
well, and I also think it's amazing that it's like, people over here they always go, "Well, that'll never be us. That'll never happen."
Yeah,
And then it's like all great civilizations fall,
yeah,
like all of them. Like you think that we are guaranteed not for this to happen.
yeah.
It's like you think that highly of, like it seems very egotistical, doesn't it?
Well, also that complacency is dangerous.
Yeah, like it seems very egotistical. Like
Yeah,
oh, we've have achieved. Like we don't have to worry about all these things that might befall our country that would ruin it.
hmm,
Like all all the national debt and
yeah. The
like
trillions of
these
dollars that we owe
yeah
China.
these things are like staring us in the face.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like these actual problems that we need to take care of. It's like instead of going over there and fucking around in Afghanistan,
yeah,
it's like there's people here that need help. You need to
yeah,
help these people. Take care of your own people before it's like, it's sort of like everybody always says is like take care of your own house first, right?
right.
Like there's enough shit over here that needs to get fixed.
Hmm. Another thing too, I feel like a lot of people don't ever really consider is that the United States of America is a very, very, very young country.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we haven't even,
Comparatively to like the Ottoman Empire and like all that
yeah,
shit, like the English Empire.
yeah. I mean, you know, as far as like our Western civilization goes, it has not been around a long time, and America has not been a superpower for that long either.
No, it wasn't until we like jumped in at the end of the fucking World War II and declared ourselves champions again.
Yeah,
And everybody else was broke and dead, and we're
yeah,
like, oh, looks like we're doing whatever we want to do now.
yeah. Not to mention the World War happened over there.
Yeah, it didn't happen over here.
Yeah, so fucking Germany and the UK and France all got bombed out. We were totally fine over here.
Yeah. Like
I mean, yeah,
you had Pearl Harbor.
yeah, Pearl Harbor, but that didn't get Japan very far.
No.
But it was like, the only reason we were even able to do as well as we have is because of World War One when we were selling weapons and steel.
Yeah. One isn't also interesting too. It's like, could you imagine somebody coming up with like a different type of weapon now that would kill more people than the atomic bomb? Like something that you like, not even a bomb, just something where like all these people are just gone, and you could just direct it.
It's like boom, vaporized.
Just boom, gone. Vanished.
It's like directed energy weapons.
Yeah.
Well, gone. I mean, they have like stuff like that.
You don't think that everybody else will go, whoa, 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 whoa. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that.
Like, are you going to stop me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's actually kind of amazing that, after the U.S. dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan, everybody else didn't go, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, we can't have those.
Yeah, we're not playing that game. Like
everybody said we got to have those.
Yeah. Well, sort of like, they talk about like, what was it? Like those tungsten rods they were going to drop from space for like mining shit. It's like essentially the same thing. It's like the same impact as like a nuclear explosion, but just without the radiation fallout.
Yeah, there's no nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
It was they were going to be able to do that because of the way the Geneva Convention was written up. Or I don't know if it was a Geneva Convention, but there was something.
Yeah, it's like it can't be fired from space.
Yeah,
they can drop it.
Yeah, that's how they got around it. It was like it can't be a projectile that is fired from orbit, but they're like, we're not firing it, we're just dropping, just letting go of it.
Yeah, but it still causes that big of that much damage.
Yeah, by the time that tungsten rod, which is not very large, I mean it's like 10 foot long or something like that. I'm pretty sure. Once it hits the Earth, it just like creates a concussive force, the same that an atomic bomb would.
Yeah, it just jellify your insides.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we're going to use it for quote unquote mining purposes.
Yeah, like what?
No, you're not. You fucking liar.
You're not. Yeah, and it's like, and they probably have clusters of them up there. Like that's multiple atomic bombs without all the fallout.
Yeah,
multiple atomic bombs. You're talking about a rod that's probably. It's probably not even that. If you said 10 foot, it wouldn't be hard to get a bunch of them in there.
Yeah. Well, hell, even if they were 100 foot long. Yeah, I mean, they don't have to be very big around. Like the diameter doesn't have to be that large. It's like just the sheer impact of it hitting the Earth.
Yeah, here it is. Rods from God. The rods from God idea was a bundle of telephone pole sized 20-foot long, 1-foot diameter tungsten rods dropped from orbit, reaching speeds of up to 10 times the speed of sound. The rod itself would penetrate hundreds of feet into the earth, destroying any potential hardened bunkers or secret underground sites.
Okay, so a little bit bigger than 10 foot. But
yeah, but still.
There remains that is not a lot of, material.
No. For the amount of
it's a lot of
concussive force. No,
yeah, for the amount of
nothing
for the payload that you're going to get or the force that you're going to get out of it. That's nothing. That's not as resource intensive as an atomic bomb is.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
And the big thing there is no fallout, no radioactive fallout or whatever. It's like fucking that's the worst thing about an atomic bomb is all that that shit.
The fallout.
Yeah. Well, it's like You also can't predict like what the weather's going to do.
Yeah.
Like they tested those bombs over there on the Bikini Atoll near Hawaii,
Hmm.
and the fucking wind shifted, and it blew a bunch of that radioactive like ash and shit up the Pacific and like into like some area over in Asia,
Wow.
and a bunch of like fishermen and stuff were like out in the water and they were fishing, and all of a sudden like this like green snow started landing in their boat and it melted them.
That's
so
crazy.
so yeah, atom bombs are not a good thing to have.
No. And isn't that crazy how like we're just like, yeah, fuck it, blow it up. Let's see what it does.
Yeah.
Like, especially like when Einstein literally was like, I don't know if that's going to catch the atmosphere on fire or not. So be careful with that.
Yeah, yeah. You kids have fun. Be
Yeah.
careful. Be back before dark.
Yeah.
Well, the I can't remember what the thing was called. I think it was called like the Devil's Eye or something like that. But it was like a radioactive isotope. It might have been plutonium, and it was encased in like a tungsten sphere. And like when the sphere was completely, so it was like a ball. It was like it says it's a ball of plutonium, and then
Mhm.
around that it's a bigger ball of tungsten. It may not have been tungsten. That's what I'm calling it. And when the sphere was not completely encased, there was no reaction going on. And something about completing the sphere on the outside, like touching the two halves together, would cause a
Mhm.
reaction to happen. And there was a scientist who was in there fucking with the thing, and I'm pretty sure he had it like the two outer halves split open like with a flathead screwdriver. And there's some other like scientists like in the room with him, and the screwdriver slipped and it enclosed itself, and it let out like a blast of radioactive energy, and he managed to pry the thing back open to stop the reaction.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like a split second that this happened, like it was
Yeah.
no time at all. And he turned and he looked at the other scientists in the room and he said, "Gentlemen, we have all just died." And and then they just fucking melted from the inside out from radiation poisoning.
That's so crazy. Have you ever watched Chernobyl?
Yes.
Yeah, when like they turn to like goo. Like
Yeah.
everything just is
Yeah.
like your molecular structure just goes
Yeah.
away. They
Your
just can't
DNA,
hold on
yeah,
anymore.
your DNA falls apart.
Yeah, that's
You
so crazy.
you literally turn into goop,
Yeah.
like, but not instantly. Over a long period of time, your just skin falls off and your bones turn to mush. It's
I
just,
would rather
oh,
somebody just shoot me in the head.
abso-fucking-lutely,
Just kill me and get
abso-fucking-lutely.
it over with.
If the doctor came in and was like, "You have severe radiation poisoning," I'm like, "Okay, go ahead and just fucking kill me. I don't want to live through this shit."
And like, isn't that so crazy that like there's something out there that can literally like destroy your molecular structure?
Yeah,
That like exists.
yeah.
That's something that could possibly happen to you.
Hmm.
like
Well,
like
you know,
no kid grows up and goes like, my dream is to have my molecular structure ripped apart. Like, nobody says that.
yeah. Well, I think even to this day, Chernobyl is, that reactor won't stop giving off radiation until like what 30,000 years from now, something insane like that.
Yeah, something crazy. Yeah, and the crazy thing is too, if you have not watched that series, is it HBO?
It's HBO, yeah,
Yeah, if you have not watched that series, you have got to watch it. It
yeah,
is really
yeah,
good. The craziest part about the whole thing was when they were talking about like the water and how like if the water, it was something like the water was getting low or something like that. I couldn't remember. It's something to do with the way that the water was stored, and it was going to do something, and it was essentially it was going to blow from from
yeah,
the back pressure,
yeah.
and they had to do something. I can't remember. They had to put like sand down there or something like that. I can't remember. Oh no, wait, I take that back. There was the core was melting down through the bedrock, and it was going to hit a an underground lake.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was. And they
and
were
that because
trying to, yeah, they were trying to stop it.
and they showed all those fuel rods bouncing up and down.
Yeah.
That scene was scary there at the end when they showed the fuel rods in the reactor bouncing up and down,
Oh yeah.
because it was like each one of those things weigh about 30,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're bouncing up and down like pogo sticks.
Yeah.
And
There were so many of them. I was like, oh
yeah,
my God.
that they showed that tech like standing there looking at it. And it was like, could you imagine what the dude in real life who stood there and what was looking at that happening,
Oh
what
my
he was
God.
thinking?
Be like, it's over.
Yeah.
Like it's over.
Mm.
It's like when it exploded and like all those scientists went over there and the dude just like looks over like down into it. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. God, what a way to go, man. And another cool thing about that, or a good part about that show, is it kind of shows what the Soviet Union, how they kind of where they were more concerned with preserving their image than they were
Yeah.
saving the lives of their people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a fault with the way that system or something.
Yeah.
It had something to do with the way that the rods were placed back in. There was like moisture inside of it or something.
Mm-hmm.
They created some type of like issue, and I can't remember what it was. It was really fascinating. I thought it was really interesting.
Have you ever looked up the elephant's foot?
No, I haven't.
It's like a piece of radioactive slag in the basement of Chernobyl, and it's like extremely dense. Like I'm pretty sure it's the most dense thing on Earth.
Yeah.
I think it's not very large. I want to say probably 20 by 20 feet, if that.
Yeah.
And it weighs like several 100,000 pounds.
Wow.
But it's so radioactive that it was like, if you looked at it, you died.
Really?
Yeah. The only way that they were able to study it is they had to put like cameras and stuff on a robot and send it down in there and come around the corner. And it was like the amount of radiation that was coming off of that thing was enough to like melt the robot.
Wow.
So something that's not even biological. I mean, because there's molecular structure in the metal, and that radiation is so bad that it just destroys the metal.
That's so crazy.
Imagine the dude who's like walking down in the basement, like trying to assess the damage. He just turns the corner, and it's like that scene from Indiana Jones.
Like that scene from Indiana Jones where their faces melt.
Oh, yeah, just immediately, just
and that what they say, blit.
Yeah, sugabiet.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was bad, and it's still bad. I mean, that area is still unlivable.
Yeah, you can't go there. Yeah, because once they were talking about if it was going to hit that lake, that like there was like they were talking about the radioactive like fallout would reach like into like Germany and stuff. They were like it will destroy the region.
Yeah. Well, the initial explosion was so bad, or the amount of radiation that escaped, that we picked it up here in America, and we asked them like, "What's going on over there?"
Yeah,
and they were like, "Nothing."
Yeah, like don't you worry about it. They're like, fuck off.
Yeah, we got it all under control. Don't worry, no biggie. That's really interesting too when you look at like with the state that region is in right now. Like there's new vegetation that has grown in that area that's like never been seen before.
Really?
Yeah, because that vegetation is like vegetation is like extremely resilient. And
yeah, it's just like animal cells, like
it can grow anywhere and anything.
Yeah.
Like so like even though there's that much radiation constantly just blanketed in that area, there's still like new plants that have evolved to live in that.
Yeah. Could you imagine like if something was to happen to our civilization, like there's like an asteroid that hit our planet or something like that, and there was like only a small group of people that survived, and just like that knowledge was lost for like thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And everybody's just like, what in the world happened to this fucking place?
Yeah.
Like there's like all this weird shit. People get sick when they go there.
Yeah.
Like,
it almost kind of makes you wonder how many times that's already happened.
I know, right? It's like you look at like Machu Picchu, and then was it you that was telling me about how they seem to think that parts of Egypt are older than other parts, like late Sumeria and like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like certain like geological findings that they made in the past few years is like it doesn't make sense that this is here.
Yeah.
Like this couldn't have gotten here any, with the technology that they had back then, they couldn't have got this here.
Yeah, which would indicate like a civilization reset, right?
Yeah.
Which is like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's sort of like was it the fire at the Library of Alexandria? They lost like over 1,000 years worth of knowledge or something like that.
Yeah.
Essentially, like they had to restart from scratch again.
Well, it's really interesting too because it's like, okay, well, are you saying that there were civilizations when like dinosaurs were around? Like, no, but when you consider how quickly man evolved and how quickly civilizations evolved, like,
Yeah,
within the
it
past,
takes when you think about in the grand scope of like the universe,
yeah,
like man adapts very quickly.
yeah.
It like
So it's
evolves very rapidly.
like through there could be like these 10,000 year cycles, right, where man evolves, and like say we might not even be at the halfway point of that cycle.
Yeah.
you know 9,000 years from now, humanity reaches this point that's just like so far beyond anything, and then some horrible catastrophe happens or something like that, and the whole thing
Yeah.
starts over again.
Which is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, it is.
That like there could have been like three or four like civilizations of some type of modern man, and then it just gets reset.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever, do you know what the SCP Foundation is?
No.
The SCP Foundation, it's called the SCP Foundation. Well, what it is, it's a collection of like short, I guess you call them short stories. There are short stories, but it's a wiki page where a bunch of like horror writers and science fiction writers all get together, and they're almost kind of like role playing that they're like this foundation or like this
like
like
legitimate authors and stuff, or just like
some of them, yeah.
really?
Yeah, they're kind of like role playing they're this agency. Well,
Yeah.
there's upwards of like 3,000 different entries, and each one, like you have like SCP-001 all the way to SCP-3000, and
Mm-hmm.
each SCP can be like, just some kind of anomaly. I have one that's like, say a computer mouse that moves on its own, something like that,
Yeah.
all the way to a concept where our lives are actually just a novel being written by a higher being.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain. If you go, anybody listening, if you just want to, go down a rabbit hole and just read some really cool stuff, you should go check out the SCP wiki. There's lots of cool stuff on there. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because one of the SCP entries is this facility where that the SCP Foundation uses, where if a catastrophe happens, they can reset reality with it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a redo button, and
Fascinating.
it's a bit more complex than that. But that's essentially what it is. Like it repopulates the Earth. It anybody who's still alive, it wipes their memory. Is all kinds of cool stuff. Like if like some of my favorite ones are like the ones that are like monsters.
Yeah.
Like boogeymen,
Yeah.
like SCP-096 is a cool one. He's like this pale man that constantly like sits in a corner and sobs, and they keep him inside like a 5x5 meter containment cell.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is, if you look at a picture of his face, or if you see his face, or like a video recording of his face, even if you see it and you don't consciously realize that you saw it, he will like run towards you no matter where he is until he gets you, and then it's presumed that he kills you. Some of it's like blacked out, like it's a CIA document. But like nothing can stop him. Like there's no material that can stop him, no distance can stop him. It's really neat. It's like it's like people making up modern boogeymen. That's what some of it is. They're not all that, but some of them are that. The interesting ones are some of those.
It sounds a lot like have you ever seen the movie It Follows? So there's a movie called It Follows, and essentially it's like it like lives in a host, right?
Yeah.
And then so like, but it gets passed through like sexual intercourse. So like whoever's holding the host, the thing's constantly coming to them trying to kill them. And once it kills them, it goes to the person that had it before them and then had it before them.
Yeah.
So like these people are constantly passing it around trying to get it off of them so it can go to somebody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean
That that sounds
it's
like something that would be in there.
yeah, it's very interesting. Like the concept of it. I was like, oh, they're talking about like STDs? Like
Yeah.
like it'll get you
Imagine
in
if that's
the
how imagine that's how it works.
end. Yeah.
Like once AIDS reaches the end, it starts working backwards.
Yeah.
One of the SCPs is like a skeleton key that can like unlock any door.
Yeah.
But it was like one out of every 5,000 doors that it unlocks. Instead of unlocking the door and you go into the next room, it opens up a pathway into like this forest, and you feel compelled to go in there, and you get hunted down and eaten by something, and that's like how that thing hunts. Yeah, it's really cool. Like if you just want something like some cool sci-fi or horror stories to read,
Yeah, I love
I
those
definitely
kinds of books. I
I
love
would say
those kinds of stories.
yeah.
Have you ever read? There's a book by Dean Koontz called The Taking. Have you ever read that before?
No, I think the only Dean Koontz book I ever read was Odd Thomas.
Yeah, so you would like The Taking. So The Taking is about it's like this dude and his wife, right? And they're like, of course, like there's like marital problems and like all this stuff like that's going on. If it's like a to give the backstory for like the person or whatever to like add some like additional things that make it like more suspenseful, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just adding to the anxiety of the story. And like so
Yeah.
like all these people disappear, right? And then like they wake up and like this rain is outside and it's real foggy. And he was like, but the rain like smells like semen. It's like falling from the
Ew.
sky. Yeah. And then he writes this whole story and it's like people are like start disappearing and it's like people that hadn't like been like that weren't left behind in whatever this event was or whatever. And like essentially well, I'm not going to give it away, but it's essentially they use some like supernatural stuff like Satan in there.
Yeah.
Like he's like kind of back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really good story. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was scary as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, scary books are totally different than scary movies because you get into a scary book and it's like now you're doing all the heavy lifting
Yeah.
as far as your imagination.
Well, yeah, books demand so much of your imagination, and it's like a lot of times you don't even realize like you're building that story within your head.
Yeah, and it's interesting too how your brain kind of already knows what scares you, so it starts building it into this thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of doing it to yourself. Like it's like, oh, I know it's scary. I know what I'll put there, or like I know
That
what kind of vision I'm going to put in my head to really
that
get
actually
me on that one.
that's a good segue into something I wanted to ask you about. Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Um, I don't think so. Maybe as a kid, maybe when I was younger, maybe just that's like simply through like frozen and with fear or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can't move.
Well, I had experienced it once um when I lived at the apartment. And so if for anybody that doesn't know what sleep paralysis is, it's when your body is asleep but your brain is not. It's like this weird thing that happens where your brain releases a chemical that paralyzes not paralyzes, but it basically makes you not move your body so you can be still while you're sleeping. And I guess some wires get crossed or whatever. Something happens where your brain is completely awake, like your eyes are open. You're like you're seeing things,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't move your body.
Can you not like shut your eyes?
When it happened to me, I couldn't shut my eyes.
Interesting.
So what starts happening is your brain starts to dream over reality. You start hallucinating.
Yeah.
You start having these really vivid hallucinations.
Yeah.
And so what happened to me, I mean, it was just as real as anything. You know what I mean? Is me sitting here looking at my computer desk, just as real.
Yeah.
And I
you've entered the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my bed was like, if I'm sleeping on my back on my bed, I can kind of look down over my chest and see my bedroom door that goes out into the rest of the apartment. And I remember waking up and not being able to move my body.
Yeah.
And that immediately made me start panicking.
Oh yeah. You
And I think
immediate panic attack.
Yeah. And I think that because that happened, like I started having like hypervigilance.
Yeah.
And so my brain started looking for like threats.
Yeah.
at the same time that it was trying to dream.
Yeah.
So
then it was inserting things.
It was like an immediate nightmare, like waking nightmare. And what happened was,
you're like, oh my God, this will never end. I will always be like this.
Yeah, it's exactly what it felt like. So
I'm not in reality anymore.
Yeah. My bedroom door opened, and the other, like, beyond the doorway was like black, like pitch black.
Yeah.
Not like that room was dark. It was black, like a void.
Like it's oblivion.
Yeah. And I could hear this noise that kind of sounded like, kind of like screeching tires.
Yeah.
And it was very far away. And I just remember staring at the void.
Yeah, like you're just like glued to it.
Yeah, like I couldn't look away.
Yeah, it's like that you should look away, but you can't.
Yeah. And the screeching tire sound started getting closer and closer and closer, for like over a very long time.
Yeah.
And I started to see like fingertips come around the doorway.
Oh fuck!
Like hands, like it was really, it was really long fingertips, like I don't know, like a foot long.
Yeah.
And it was like one down here, one up here on the other side, then like two more, then three more. All of a sudden, it was nothing but fingertips, like something was reaching around the door jamb.
Yeah.
And
you're just like, God, make this.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Have I died and gone to hell? Like, is this like my judgment? So the screeching sound, it got like so loud that it was unbearable.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like it was happening right near my head.
Yeah.
But I could still tell that it was coming out of the void with all the fingertips. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this like face like shot out of the void straight at my face.
Oh shit.
And it was completely white and completely like expressionless.
Yeah.
It was like totally blank. And it didn't have eyes. It just had like black holes.
Yeah. You're like, oh no.
And like as soon as it got like right at my face,
yeah,
like that's when I woke up. Yeah. Yeah. I shot up out of bed. I wasn't even laying that way. I shot up out of bed and was like,
oh, that's so funny.
And like I like flipped over and I looked at my doorway. And of course, there's nothing there. The door's closed like it always is.
It's like Carl standing there, and then he turns and like goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh fuck.
Like, oh, it was just a corgi the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first and only time I ever experienced sleep paralysis. And I started looking into it after that because I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was a hallucination. That wasn't a dream because that was 100%.
It's like you were like
real.
Tripping balls.
Yeah. I was like, that was 100% real. And they were saying that, that's just what causes it is when your brain starts dreaming over reality.
Yeah.
And they said you can actually trigger it by trying to sleep on your back. And I'm like,
really?
well, I'm not going to try to do it again.
No, that sounds awful. Why would you want to do that again?
It's the worst shit ever.
It's like, I don't want to go back there. like I don't want to go back for round 2.
Yeah. But it was interesting because it was like my brain was like, what other scary things are we afraid of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sprinkle some of that in there.
Yeah. Interesting how it just kind of pieced it together.
Yeah. It was like, I guess I learned some things about myself that I didn't know.
Yeah. You're like, scared of that. Well, it's like, it's sort of like any scary movie, right? It's like, it's always scarier. Like you know, like some scary movies, like you'll watch them, and like as soon as they show you the monster, you're like, oh fuck, that ruined the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's how I was with Insidious.
Yeah. Or like the was that the one? It was like the puppeteer type thing,
Yeah.
and yeah,
That movie was so good
right up
until
till the
they
end.
go into his realm and it's
Yeah,
playing that fucking
like carnival
yeah.
music.
No, it was
Oh, is that tiptoe?
yeah.
Yeah,
Tiptoe through the middle.
yeah,
And I was like, what the fuck?
yeah.
This is
That
just
like,
lame now.
yeah, it's like no, that just makes me mad. Like,
Yeah. Now I'm angry. This is not a horror movie, this is an angry movie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that ruined that whole. It's like was it? There's another one that me and Allison went and saw in theaters. It was Drag Me to Hell. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah, that's a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, it was like that movie was fantastic right up till the end,
Yep.
where they're sitting around and that goat starts talking.
Yep.
And then yeah, the goat's blah, 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 blah. Like, and then it like runs over and it's like the fakest fucking goat bite I've ever seen. Like bites this dude's arm, and then the dude gets up and he's like dancing around, like kicking shit off the table, like talking in tongues. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh man, it's like I don't know, it's something about like those movies.
It's just like ugh, you ruined it.
Like once you see like the monster, whatever the thing is, once it becomes real and tangible, it's like not as scary anymore. It's like the fear is the unknown.
Yeah, the unknown of it.
I think that's why Paranormal Activity had such an effect on me the first time I watched it.
Yeah, because you never saw it.
Yeah.
Your brain isn't, it's not associating it with what they want you to associate it with. That I feel like that would be the easiest genre to write for. Would be horror. As long as you understand that you allow the person who is viewing it or reading it to let their own brain do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
That makes your job so much easier.
And
you just guide them through the journey.
Yeah, don't try to like qualify anything.
No.
Like there was me and Daniel were looking for a movie to watch one night when we lived at the apartment, and we came across Rubber, which was a sentient car tire rolling through the desert killing people with telekinesis. And that was the synopsis of the movie.
Yeah.
And we read that and we're like, well, fuck, there's our movie. And we started watching it, and the director comes out before the movie starts. He's like, hey, I'm the director of this movie. He's like, look, this movie's really stupid, but please give it a try.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, at the end of the movie, I was like, that initial, like, please watch this from the director really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, if you would have just let this movie be what it is, I really would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because, it's obviously ridiculous, but it was a good movie.
Yeah. It's sort of like I kind of like movies that are bad like that, but they're like very self-aware.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we know why you're here and you know why we made this.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like that. Was it that movie Thanksgiving? Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah. I've never seen it, but I've seen clips of it.
Yeah, they make no bones about that movie. Like there's one part in there like where the turkey like fucks this girl, and then it's like we found an extra small gravy flavored condom at the scene of the crime.
Oh man.
Like
you can always tell when when somebody's just having fun making something.
Yeah.
Because that translates to the viewer.
Oh yeah. It's like, well, it's like everybody's aware of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like I was on a flight. It wasn't this one, it was the last one that I was on, and I watched the new Mortal Kombat movie.
I wanted to watch it, but I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, and like so many people were like, "Oh, it wasn't as good as like the original or whatever." It's like, dude, it's like it's Mortal Kombat. Don't take this seriously.
Yeah,
like everybody knows what's going on here.
Yeah, it's all over the top.
Yeah, it's over the top. Yeah. Like I'm accepting that there's a dude that can freeze people's fucking arms off. Like we've traveled to fucking La La Land. This is nonsense. This isn't the reality.
It's like I don't feel betrayed by this movie. I know what I'm
I know what I'm watching.
Yeah.
I've accepted what they're going to present to me. Like,
it's like you've seen Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
They play the twist kind of early in that movie, but it's crucial to the premise of the movie.
Yeah.
And they pull it off really well. They don't try to like justify it in any kind of way.
Oh no, yeah, I actually thought that was a really good movie. I liked it.
That's one of those movies that I can rewatch a bunch of times. I'm like, every time it like comes across on Netflix, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, that was actually a really good one. I liked that movie.
Have you ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
No.
Oh my god, that movie is so fucking great. It's kind of like a parody of those, like, you know, the teens go camping in the woods and they get chased by hillbillies or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's these two hillbilly brothers named Tucker and Dale, and like one of their relatives died or something, and they left them like a cabin in the woods, and they're going to like take a weekend to go fix it up and make it like a nice vacation home.
Yeah.
And like these like college kids think that they're like trying to kill them, so they try to kill the hillbillies first. And so they're like, why are these kids trying to kill us? It's just like, one of them like runs up and tries to stab him while he's throwing some logs into the wood chipper. But he like trips and falls, and the teenager like goes head first in the wood chipper. And so one of the hillbillies is like trying to pull him out. And he's like holding him by the legs, screaming. There's like blood flying everywhere. But the other kids walk up and they just see him screaming and holding this kid by the legs. It's got, I wish I could remember that one guy's name, but the other guy is the one that played Steve the Pirate on Dodgeball.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He plays one of the other hillbilly brothers. But yeah, that is a fucking hilarious movie.
Yeah, I have to check that out. That sounds really good.
It's so fucking funny. It's just so dumb.
Yeah, I kind of miss the early days of Netflix when they had all those like really bad movies on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would just be like, what's the worst movie they got on here? It's like, because I'm so bored. Like, I was like, I want to watch the worst movie on here.
Yeah.
And I would just try to find the dumbest fucking movie.
And sometimes you could like discover really good stuff. Like,
oh yeah.
The first time I ever saw Ip Man, I just was like, I wonder what kind of kung fu movies are on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
an amazing movie.
I came across Ip Man. I was like, this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd ever seen Donnie Yen in anything. He's a fantastic actor.
Oh, yeah. He's great. Yeah, that first movie is the second one was okay. It wasn't bad.
They got too much. The second one's budget was too high.
Yeah, the third one I didn't. Yeah, it's all right. But
is the third one with Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I see what this is.
That one's not great. There's a fourth one that recently came out where he moves to San Francisco. I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Really?
Yeah, but the Mike Tyson thing. Have you ever seen that video where he was getting interviewed after a fight? And he just goes, the interviewer like asked him something, and Mike Tyson goes, I broke my back. And the interviewer's like, you broke your back? And he's like, my back is broken. And he's like you bruised a vertebrae or what? And Mike Tyson just goes, spinal. I don't know what the context of it is.
Yeah.
But that clip from that interview is so fucking funny. And like, of course, everybody in the comments is like doing their own take on it or whatever.
Bro, Mike Tyson's, he's a weird dude. He's a strange guy.
Well, he's fucking punch drunk like the rest of them.
Oh yeah. I think he was a strange dude before that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like anybody that comes out to the fucking ring with no music, with essentially a towel and a fucking t-shirt, and just goes in there and just murders somebody, and then just steps out and walks away.
Man, dude,
like, Mike Tyson, to the next one.
Mike Tyson in his prime was fucking scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was way faster than he had any business being.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing too, is like he would do that thing where he would rush in and he was so powerful. Everybody's like, oh fuck, like trying to get away from him. And then while you're trying to get away from jabs and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he does that overhand right, and it's fucking game over.
Yeah. Yeah, he was scary to fight. He was like, if there was one boxer that I wouldn't want to go up against, it would probably be Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah. No way.
It's like, I don't even think it's like me and you. I don't think me and you could like take him together.
No.
Like,
no.
I don't know if two of you could take him together. He was so
I'm not this macho person like I could take Mike. Like, no, Mike would fucking murder me.
Yeah, he would fucking railroad me. It'd be nothing.
Like it would just be another day at the office for him. Like, it'd be an easy work day. He's like, let's get this money.
I'd sort of like see him fight one of these Paul brothers.
Oh, I know, right? Well, dude, it's who is it like back in the day, like when the UFC first started? Like I love watching like the early day UFC stuff. Like with like Tank Abbott,
no fucking
and, like,
rules.
Yeah, like Tank Abbott, and like when they first started getting up with like Chuck Liddell and who Rampage Jackson. Have you ever seen the video of Rampage Jackson body slamming that guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was vicious.
Though when it was just MMA, it was mixed martial arts, and the reason it was called that was because you might have a guy who's like a professional boxer versus like a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah. It's
like a dude in like the boxing shorts and gloves versus a guy in like a gi. And that was always so interesting to see. Like there was that one guy, he was like a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was fighting somebody else. And he got him in that arm bar and was just hammering him with elbows.
Oh, are you talking about was it Hoist Gracie? Was he the one?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think it was Hoist Gracie where he had him as like what's it they call it, like a crucifix or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's just fucking blasting this dude in the head with fucking elbows and knees at the same time, and the dude's out. He is bad. Out on the ground, and the dude's just fucking turning this dude's temples into mincemeat.
It's like turning him into hamburger meat, man. It was bad.
It's just bad. That's what it's
I think that's when they were like, okay, we got to put some regulations.
Yeah, there's gonna be some rules to this. Was sort of like who was it? Like when Brock Lesnar used to fight, like his highlights and stuff. Like who was it, like Randy Couture, where he like punched him and then Randy like rolled onto his back and then Brock just jumped on, like ran across the ring and jumped on top of him.
Yeah,
like literally pinned his fucking hands to another grown man, pinned this other grown man's hands to his chest and was beating him in the head with his other fist.
Yeah.
It's like that's not a person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an animal.
That's an animal. That's a silverback gorilla. He's like got these huge hands like hitting you with fucking lunch boxes.
Yeah. Filled with bricks.
Yeah, filled with bricks.
And Brock Lesnar was another one of those guys that was fucking huge, but it was so fast.
Oh, yeah, and nothing but aggression.
Yeah.
Nothing but aggression.
He was like 400 pounds of pure muscle and aggression and just as fast. I mean...
Oh, yeah. Well, he was like 300 pounds, and he would cut down to like 265 just to fight.
Yeah. His problem when it came to UFC, though, was that he didn't have any ground game. Like, you couldn't stand up. Yeah, you couldn't stand up and trade punches with the guy.
Well, he was actually pretty good on the ground because he was a collegiate wrestler. His deal was he wasn't aware of a lot of like the toe hook, like the heel hooks and all that shit.
Yeah.
And so, but like he was an excellent wrestler.
Well, all I ever saw was when he went to the ground. That was usually it for him. Like fucking Frank Mir took him out with a leg lock.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but you notice like he would attempt to take people to the ground, but then he would use his size and he'd get on top of them. And then he would try to pin them down and just fucking rain hell from above.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, if he got into a full mount, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You are fucked.
You can't get away from that guy.
No.
He took up half the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
His shoulders.
Yeah. He did. You'd end up being like Bart Simpson where Homer like chokes him.
Why you little? The fucking Don Fry and was it Yoshihiro Mamamoto?
Yeah.
Is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
That was Pride.
An amazing fight. An amazing fight.
You want to talk about just trading blows? The first minute and a half of that fight, you guys got to look this fight up. It's Don Fry and I think it's Yoshihiro Mamamoto is his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but I think his first name is Yoshi.
He looks like so Don Fry looks like Freddie Mercury got in the Captain America tube. And he came out like a super soldier. That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah, he looks like Omni-Man.
He does look like Omni-Man.
He looks like Omni-Man. He's Omni-Man.
In the first minute and a half of this fight, each one of them have their left hand on the other one's right shoulder, and they're both just like haymakers to the face. Just nobody's blocking anything. They're just standing there punching each other in the face.
Amazing. And he had his face was a little swollen, but bro, that other dude.
Oh yeah.
The guy, the Yoshihiro Matamoto or whatever his name is, that dude was fucked up.
Yeah, he was.
His eyes looked so bad.
But he stood there and took it.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you want to talk about just go trading blows?
Yeah.
All right, let's figure it out. He's got the stronger chin. It was like a hockey fight.
I was just about to say it was like a hockey fight, but with none of the pads.
Yeah. It was you watch it, you're like, what are they doing?
My favorite part of that video is hearing the crowd.
Oh yeah, they went crazy.
It was uproarious. They were shaking the rafters with how loud they were screaming.
Oh yeah. I'd done the same thing. I'd have been like, this is the best fight ever. Nothing will ever compare to this. I don't care. Any knockout, it doesn't matter.
I saw the Don Fry Yoshihiro fight. I've heard the first minute and a half was the best exchange of blows to ever happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. It's art.
To see two humans do that to each other is I didn't know that we as a species were capable of that.
Well, the amazing thing was just the disregard for one's own self-defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no blocking whatsoever.
And they're fucking cocking back, dude.
Oh yeah, these aren't little jabs. I mean, each one was like a haymaker.
Oh yeah. They were trying to fucking murder the other dude.
As much power as they could put into every single punch.
Yeah, that was an amazing fight.
Oh man. Well, I think that's about time for us today.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
We might have gone a little over. I don't know.
Yeah, but oh well.
There's a little extra for you since you had to wait so long for us to record.
I promise we're going to try to do better about at least weekly.
Yeah.
I think at least weekly.
Yeah. I would really like to get down to weekly.
Yeah. I think that maybe we should start trying to maybe record on Saturdays, and then that'll give us Sunday to get it uploaded and everything, and maybe drop like a sound bite or something.
Yeah. Have our normal release on Monday the way we were doing
in the beginning.
Yeah.
When we were fresh.
1 year ago.
Yeah, 1 year ago.
But Wesley, do you have any closing remarks?
I do not.
All right.
I think I've talked about everything I want to talk about so far.
I think when we get done here, I'm going to go pull up that fight again.
Oh yeah,
watch it for the 500.
Yeah, that's everybody's homework. That's everybody's homework.
Yeah.
Go watch that fight. At least that part we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
All righty. Well, I don't got anything else I want to say today. I hope you all enjoyed listening. Thank you so much for joining us. And,
we really do appreciate it. It's much. Thank you so much. We really do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and we gotta do a special shout out.
Okay.
To Tristan Missingo.
Yeah, he was a little upset about the last shout out.
Since we missed him last time, I'll tell you what, this episode is dedicated to Tristan.
This episode is dedicated to the Swamp Donkey.
The Swamp Donkey.
Yeah. Who actually has a rap song out there that's actually really good. I won't point you in the direction, but if you're interested, you can go find it. It's out there.
Can we find it with Swamp Donkey?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's a little shout out for you.
Yeah. Shout out to Tristan, who's was out there dropping bars at one time, but believes it's not for him anymore. I know you still got it in you, Tristan.
Yeah. We believe in you, big dog. All righty. Well, thank you again, everybody, for listening. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody.
Bye-bye.